Hey there, everybody. Welcome back. So in this installment, we're going to go ahead and get the PHP working on the remote side of our database stuff. But before we do that, just to kind of get an idea, visualize what we've been doing so far and kind of where we're going. So we've got a player out there in the player universe, and the player is interacting with Unity. And when the player interacts with Unity, a UI handler gets information from the player and then is handing off to this DB handler. Now, I might have called it in the last video, it might have been login handler, whatever. But so it's getting stuff from there, and then it's handing off to a Unity database handler that's then going to be responsible for going on and talking to PHP. And then that PHP, once it figures out what to do, is then going to talk to our MySQL server that we set up. And the MySQL server will then talk to the users table and any other tables that we create. And then this will all backtrack. Now, as I'm getting ready to build this, since I'm going to be using multiple PHP scripts for different things at different times, for instance, there will be one script for creating an account, one script for logging in or authorizing the user. Eventually, there'll be another script for saving user data, maybe another one for loading user data, things like that. I want to go ahead and from the beginning kind of abstract this out. So that means within the PHP side, I'm going to have a couple of other scripts. One is going to store all of my account information from when we created our MySQL database. And the other one is just going to be like a really simple thing that does the actual execution of whatever SQL statement I want. So the account is going to, once again, store all my account information. And then this one over here is going to be responsible for connecting to the database, executing my SQL query, getting the results, and then returning those results to the whichever script it is that I'm running down here. So that's kind of where we're going. We're going to be focusing right here and dabbling a little bit back and forth on these other ones in this particular one. So with all that said, let's get Photoshop out of the way. By Photoshop, and back in Unity there. So before we do that, let's go ahead and jump into our XAMPP control panel. I'm going to bring up my Apache web server. Then I'm going to go ahead and bring up my SQL server, log into admin real quick on the PHP MyAdmin there. So some of the stuff I'm getting ready to create is going to be found in the, if I go to PHP MyAdmin, the home section. And from here, what am I looking for? I just went completely blank. Users. I don't know. Yeah, I went completely blank. And the one that I'm going to be kind of looking at, or that I'm going to be using, is going to be this one that we set up, this ECGC admin, which, if you remember, had my super cool password of password123. I'm going to need all of that. And I'm going to be connecting to this database right here, ECGC demo. I'm going to need to know what database I'm connecting to. And yeah, so that's where some of this information is going to be coming from. Now, some other stuff just to kind of clarify how we're going to be setting some of these things up. If I go into my folder where I installed XAMPP, and in here I have an htdocs, and we looked at this really briefly before. Then I have this ECGC demo folder, and then inside here I have this database handlers, and we set that up last time. So this is where I'm going to be putting some scripts that I want. All right, so with all of that said, I need a script editor, and it's kind of up to you what you want to use. I tend to use Notepad++, so because I like it. And, oh, I already have it open. Sorry, it was open on my other screen. So let me see. Hold on, let me get rid of a bunch of stuff in it. Okay, so we're back. So I'm really not going to focus on like teaching PHP. I'm just going to use PHP. So if you've never used PHP ever, you might want to go check out a couple of quick tutorials on the syntax of PHP. Other than that, it's a programming language, or a scripting language at least, which is programming language. So it has variables, it has if statements, and that's just what we're going to leverage. So I'm going to start off here by creating that account PHP file that I said I'm going to want. So I'm going to go with a file, and then from here I'm going to go ahead and save this as something. Let's see, I'm not going to put it there. So let's see, where might I like to put it? Let's go to this PC. Let's go find everything. It should be on XAMPP, which is down here. Then htdocs and ecgc, then db handlers, and normal text. So I'm going to use a PHP file. And I really want to go ahead and specify this so that way I get my little syntax highlighting because I like it and it makes me happy. And I'm going to call this credentials. So this is going to be my credentials. All right. So PHP, here we go. So less than question mark PHP. And enter a couple times question mark greater than. So there ends my indication that I'm making a PHP file. And let's see, so this is going to store variables for connecting to my database. All right, so variable names start with a $. And so I'll say db user will equal, let's see, we called it ecgc admin, I do believe. And let's double check, was it capitalized? Probably not. It is not capitalized, so let's go ahead and make sure we get that correct. So ecgc is not capitalized. There we go. All right, let's go to the end. Then I will do a $db password will equal, for right now, just password 123. And later on, we will probably come back and look at how we could set up, hashes or other things for this side of things. Although I'm not terribly worried about that side. db host equals localhost. So wherever it is that you have this thing located, wherever MySQL is installed, that would go here. So in my case, it's localhost. I could also do 127.0.0.1. That would work as well. So wherever it is that this ends up getting stored. So for right now, I'm just going to do localhost, and then I will come back and change this when I migrate everything to an actual remote hosted location. My database name will be ecgc demo, I think I called it. Let's double check that. And my database is ecgc demo. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this because eventually I'm going to be needing to know what table am I going after. It's going to be the users table. And I'm going to need to know, okay, what fields do I have inside my users table? I have user ID, username, and password. I'll need that information eventually. All right, so back here, this script is done. Let's save it. Cool. All right, let's create another script. I said the other one that was kind of hanging off to the side there was an execute. So I'll go ahead, file, new. And then I'll go ahead and do a file, save as really quick, save as, and I'm going to call this execute SQL. And I'm going to save this as a PHP file. Boing, boing. Where you at? There it is. Save. All right, same thing, less than question mark PHP. Enter a couple times, question mark, boom. There we go, and we're off. So we're going to start off by connect to my database. So to do that, I'm going to have a variable that's going to be storing my connection. I'm going to call it MySQLi with the $sign in front. And then I'm going to leverage MySQLi class stuff that we have here in PHP. So MySQLi Connect. What do I want to use to connect? I'm going to use db host, db user, db password, and db name. Now, if you're thinking, hey, those look really familiar, they should. They're from our previous script that I just did. And I could go ahead and include the credentials right up here if I wanted to. And in fact, I might come back and do that. I might not. We'll see. So let's verify that there were no silly errors. We can do that with an if mysqli underscore connect underscore error no. Boom. And for right now, I'm just going to keep this really simple with just this little printf here. Connection failed. And really not a printf. I'm going to want to do an echo on this. Is really what I'm going to want to do. But we'll come back to that later. We'll just kind of boom, boom, do some basic stuff here. Because if we're in this, something seriously went wrong. Basically, we did not get into our database at all. So credentials are wrong. The database is down. Something along those kind of lines. We had a much more serious problem occur. So we'll want to come back and reevaluate how I'm handling this potential error, because right now this printf is just spitting it out, and I would want to do really I would want to send it back to Unity so that I could do some other stuff. All right, so now we will run a query on the database. So to do that, I'm gonna whatever I get back. Oops. I'm gonna store whatever I get back inside a variable. I'm just gonna call it results, and this is going to equal. I'm mildly curious what's going on with my syntax highlighting here. Am I missing something really simplistic? Why, yes, I am. Thank you for noticing. There it is. Okay. Dollar results. And that's why I want the syntax highlighting, because I'm so used to it that, when I see that that wasn't the color I thought it should be, it's like, where's my error? And too many times we'll fall into this trap of, well, I'll just keep typing and it'll fix itself. No, it probably won't. So mysqli underscore query. So we'll use the query method within the mysqli PHP stuff. And the query I'm going to send it, or the connection I'm going to use, will be mysqli, the variable right here. And the query I'm going to use, I'm going to call it $query. This is going to be defined in whatever script called it. Am I adding? Am I updating? What am I doing? And that just prevents me from having to copy and paste all of this stuff. And in fact, going down the road, it also allows me to put like Sql Injection error code in here or in a separate script or whatever. It just makes it easier to maintain. Okay, so $results equals that. And now we will go ahead and close the connection. So that will be a mysqli. Did not need to be capitalized. Did need to be on a new line though. mysqli underscore. Close. What connection do you want to close? Well, I want to close the connection that is referenced by my mysqli variable. And there we go. This is going to handle connecting to the database, simplistic server connection errors, run our results, or run our query, and close our connection. And then whatever script called me can go ahead and handle whatever it wanted to do with those results. All right, so let's save that. Okay, so with that squared away, let's go on to creating a script to actually connect and to create our user account. So I'm going to jump back to my database handler here. And what I'm wanting to do is I want to find out some things. One is, what did I call it? I called it create account PHP. I'm kind of like, man, I wish I didn't do that because that's actually got to be the name I use. So yeah, right here, create. Okay, so there it is. I called it create account. Yes, I like that name. That's good. So that's the name of our PHP file. And we're also going to need to come back and get these things as well. We'll do that in just a second. So let's create our PHP file first. So let's create account. So file, new, file, save as. And yep, right there, this will be create account. Not normal text, but a PHP instead, which I can grab right down somewhere. There it is, PHP. Awesome, save. So let's get this going. Less than question mark PHP, no space. There we go. Question mark greater than. There we go. Save that. All right. So the first thing I want to do is get the variables from the form sent by Unity. Okay, so I'm going to need a username and a password, and that's what got sent. So I'm going to do $user is going to be the name of my username. And the way I'm going to do this is, if we look at how it was sent, it is sent through a post. So we're using the post to send it. So I can get it through a post as well. So I can do $user equals $_post capitalized. What? Oh, not that. Bracket. And then what is it I want to get? And what I'm after here is going to be the name of the form field that was sent. And that is going to be that right there. Create account user. So I'm just going to copy that. Actually, I'm going to need the quotes as well. So I'm just going to copy the whole thing. Control-C. Go back over here. Control-V. And just to be sure, I'm going to go ahead and manually re-enter quotes, because sometimes copy and paste quotes, you get the text version, which gets wonky. Let's do bracket, boom, and now I'm going to need a pass, $. Let's see. So I'm going to want to pass. Now, one thing about this is that really, we did hash it, didn't we? Yeah, we did hash it. Okay. I was afraid that I didn't hash it. I was like, oh, we're going to have to go back and hash it. Never, ever, ever send, what are these called? Passwords in plain text. And we could even hash the username if we wanted to, but I'm not really worried about that. Maybe I should. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. Duplicate all of this stuff to hash your username, store hashed usernames in your database. I could come back to that later if I decide to go that route. But $pass is going to equal $_post. And we're going to do the exact same thing here. And this was, what was this called? Create account pass. Control-C. Get over here. Boom. Boom, boom. Just to verify, just because I'm uber paranoid about the simple mistakes that cause problems later on. There we go. Okay. Now, some other things I could do here is I could do some things, and we're going to come back to this script and add in more functionality. One of the things I'd want to do here is create hash codes. A hash code on this side and a hash code on the Unity side, and then basically verify that what's coming in this post is coming from the Unity hash and whatever. But we're not going to worry about that just yet. Right now, we're just going to do some basic, simple things here. Username and password will not be empty because we've already verified that they're not empty up here. Now we might want to go ahead and throw in another one here just in case somebody's doing some nefarious things. So let's say if not $user or not $pass, if we don't have either one of those, we're going to do some stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and echo. And the way that I'm going to construct my echoes is I'm going to have a fail. If we come back, boom, boom. Let's see. Right here, this fail. And we're going to streamline this some more because ultimately I'm going to have this parse out. I'm going to send fail and then error message. And I don't know why I'm like doing hand motions. I just realized I turned off my webcam for this video. Sorry about that. Okay, so back here. So fail. Right now I'll just echo fail. And we'll clean that up in a little bit. So I'm going to echo fail. Otherwise, it is good. So they did send me. I don't have a missing username and or password. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get everything set. First thing I want to do is include my credentials. So I'm going to include credentials.php. And that basically it is the same as taking all of this code, copy and pasting it right there line by line. So I'm going to include my credentials. Then I'm going to construct my query. $query is going to equal. What I want to do first is I want to you know what we want to do first, so we just want to get this working, and then we're gonna, in our next video, we'll do some tweaking on this. So I'm going to start off by I want this to simply put stuff in my database. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that's going to look like. So that's going to be $query quote insert. Now you don't necessarily have to use the capitalization within SQL. This is just kind of a styling. It's what people do. It's not required though. Okay, so I'm going to insert into, and let's see right here. Create add SQL, which has syntax of insert into table name parenthesis field 1 field 2 etc. Values. Then you're going to have a single quote dollar value 1 comma no single quote comma single quote dollar value 2 boing boing etc. Okay, so there's what that's going to look like. I need home just to, oh, it's word wrapping. I'm fine. Okay, so here's what this looks like. So everything that's inside these brackets are going to be things that we provide, whether it's a variable name down here, and you can tell this must be a variable name because the $sign and $sign goes before all variables, or whether it is they should have brackets, the name of the field that I want to put in. Now it's interesting. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have to put single quotes around that as well. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure they're going to need single quotes. And table name. There we go. Now, if I'm not really sure, if I'm like, I'm not really sure what the syntax should look like, we can drop down into phpMyAdmin right here, and let's just go ahead and insert. So I'm going to hit insert right here, and I'm going to insert I'm going to insert Jerry, and he's going to have a password of password. I'm going to hit go. And right here's what it looks like. Insert into table name, field 1, field 2, field 3, and information here. So with that, so that's what it will look like. And then with that, let's say we do a go. Boom. Insert into. Did I already? Oh, I can't redo the same one. I already had one. If we come back to browse, and what I just had was the one that we had just typed in. Boom, right there. So when it showed us our SQL, it had already executed. And there's the user ID that was automatically generated for me. So that's another way we could see what the SQL looks like. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to delete what I just did there. And since I saw the quotes on it, I'm going to kind of assume that I'm going to need quotes around those. So I'm going to say insert into. What do I want to insert into? The table I'm going to insert into is called users, I do believe. Then I'm going to go boom, and I'm going to say, I better get these right. What did we call these? We called these we called it username and password. Cool. Username, comma, another quote, password, single quote, by the way, closing bracket, values, parenthesis, single quote, dollar, user, single quote, comma, single quote, dollar, password, single quote, boom, boom. No, I need a quote. Right there, double quote, to close my query, because basically $query is a string. and I'm passing this string onto that execute SQL, and we can do that right here with an include execute, spell it correctly, SQL.php. And inside there, it takes that query string and it executes it on that connection and gets those results, whatever those results happen to be. So this is just a string. So moving forward, at some point, we're going to want to come back to this string, and we're going to want to remove what's referred to as SQL injection. We're going to want to make sure that there's nothing improper within this string, nothing that could actually destroy our database, for instance. So we're going to execute that, and then we're going to go ahead and just return some results to the user, which can pretty much be whatever it is we want to tell the user. So maybe we want to say, hey, it worked for right now. Maybe we want to say, hey, no, it didn't. I don't know what we want to do. But we are going to do some tweaking on this in a little bit. But for right now, let's just go ahead and do an echo account created. There we go. And save that. Okay, so that's saved. So let's see what will happen here. We should be able to run this. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this and make sure it does run, and make sure so that way you don't have to waste any time with me debugging if I skipped anything stupid. So hold on just a second. Okay, so after knocking around with this thing a whole lot longer than I should have had to, I had a bunch of really, really stupid errors. So let me show you what they were. In case you've been typing along with me, you might have them as well. And I also want to show you one of the things I was using to kind of track this stuff down and get it sorted out. So let me just go ahead and delete what I've got in my database there. So starting off, let's go into Unity, because this is one of the places I had some mistakes. So one of the mistakes that I had was in the create account for the DB handler, and not the create account. This is all in UI handler, and not really sure what I was thinking at the time. But I knew I had to use new password, but for some reason I was using password.text right there and password.text right there, and it needed to be new password.text, which was the variable that referenced our new password. Another error I had in DB handler, I had put an S right here, HTTPS. I actually haven't set that up on XAMPP. Yeah, XAMPP and the Apache. That's actually not configured. So it's like down the road, when I put this on my cloud host, I'm gonna have to change that to an S for the secure side, but that wasn't supposed to be here yet. Okay, so that takes care of the problems I had in Unity. A couple of problems I had in my various PHP scripts, and let's see. Let's close down some of this other stuff I had open trying to find out where my problems were. Let's get rid of these and get rid of that. There we go. Okay, so some problems I had over here. If I go into the create account, I was missing this closing curly brace to close out my else statement, and I'm going to show you how I was able to find these. So this was a problem, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. And I know this echo results, this is a new thing that was added. And no, actually that's not. That's supposed that is new. I'm having mental issues. And this was just to send something back to Unity so that I could start seeing what's going on with what was going on inside the query. Let's see, in my execute SQL. No, my execute SQL was not. Right up here, I was missing this I right there. So I had MySQL _connect, which, that won't work. So I'm going to go ahead and break it so that we can see that won't work. And also still here in the execute, I was missing, I was missing the I right there. And then in the, let's see, what is that? That doesn't belong there. I got way too much stuff open here. There we go. And then over here in Credentials was actually okay. That one I didn't have a problem with. and my create account. So I was missing my closing curly brace and the construction of my query. It doesn't need single quotes on your fields or on your table name, and I have no idea why I put a bracket there. It's supposed to be parentheses. So that is the format right there. Insert into table name, open parenthesis, fields, close parenthesis, values, open parenthesis, single quote, the actual value you want to put in, close single quote, comma, continue, close parenthesis, there you go, execute. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I was able to find these problems in PHP and get them sorted out, at least one of the things I was doing. So if I come back here into Unity and go ahead and play this, boom, I will play it. I will click my create account button. Once it gets up here, create account, go to, I'm going to create account, call it Jerry, give myself a really nice password called pass, and go ahead and create this account. And I get this down here. So as far as Unity is concerned, Unity's like, this is awesome. I'm great. I'm happy. But I'm getting this error down here. And where this error is being kicked out of in my DB handler, if I go into where I have my coroutine, the do account creation, and right here, if the message coming back, if the text of the download handler is not fail, then it was created. But instead of just saying, hey, it was created, it was good, I went ahead and put this debug.log message so I could start seeing what was being spit back out. And what was being spit back out by the PHP, what was being echoed, was actually there was a error on line 21 of create account PHP. So I would bounce over here, create account PHP, and be looking at this. It's like, well, 21 looks fine. And then that's where I noticed, like, oh, I'm missing a closing curly brace. I'm missing one of those doodads. Awesome. So that should fix it, right? Well, we know it won't. So we'll go ahead and run it again. And boom, boom, boom. Create a new account. Do another Jerry. Another super secret password. And this time I got this error message. And Unity is still like, hey, we made an account. Awesome. But we actually didn't. So this error message, I'm staring at this. I'm like, call to undefined function. So as I'm reading it through, I just doing that. Call to undefined function, MySQL. Oh, I'm missing the I. Yeah, okay, I see that. And in my case, it is little silly typos like that get me a lot of times. And sometimes take me longer to track down, especially in this kind of situation where I've got Unity talking to C#, which is then doing a forum post to PHP, which is then going to MySQL. So it can get kind of tricky to track some stuff down at times. So let's play this again. Boop. Come on, there we go. Oh, we're going to create an account. Jerry. Pass. Pass. Create that account. This one right here, this is being spit back by echo results right here. So that's telling me that it just made one record. And I can further verify that by going on into localhost, refresh this, and I've created a new account. It is user ID number 5, username Jerry, and that is what pass got translated to through the SHA-256 encryption that I was using. So my account is now ready. So I can now go on through, and it's at this point where we have two options on what to do next. The first option is to go ahead and start adding some more functionality to what we've already got. Make sure that they're not entering a username that already exists and stuff like that. Or we go on to the other side, which is, hey, now that we can create an account, log in. So what I'm going to do is actually in the next video, we're going to go ahead and do the login side so that we can get the user logging in. And then we will kind of wrap all this up with one final video where we take a look at kind of setting up some error checking and boundary conditions and stuff like that. And actually, I'll probably I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, so that's where we're going. So see you guys next time.